It's the first full week of October, and here in Washington, D.C., that means that the United States Supreme Court is back in session. When we look at American public opinion about the Supreme Court, we find some interesting paradoxes. Depends on how you ask about it. First of all, let's look at the judicial branch of government versus the legislative versus the executive branch. These are the three major branches of government. Of course, the Supreme Court exemplifies the judicial branch. Here we find the Supreme Court, the judicial branch, much higher in overall confidence than the other two. 61% of Americans say they have confidence in the judicial branch. That compares to 43% for the executive and a very low 28% for the legislative branch. So looked at this way, in terms of confidence in institutions, the Supreme Court does pretty well, significantly above, in particular, the executive branch and way above the legislative branch. But when we simply ask Americans, do you approve or disapprove of the job the Supreme Court is doing, you see the ratings are much lower. In fact, our update in September is now at 44% approval, much lower than that overall confidence rating. And it's important to note that that 44% is really not that much higher than what we've been measuring for President Barack Obama, whose approval rating has been in that range in recent weeks and months. So what we see overall is that Americans have more confidence in the Supreme Court as an institution, I would say, than they do in the short term when we simply say, do you approve or disapprove of the job the Supreme Court's doing? You see in front of you there the overall trend chart on approval of the Supreme Court. It goes up and it goes down. It's in one of its lower phases now, but that can reflect reaction to short-term rulings that the courts may make. The good news for the Supreme Court, even though its approval rating is down, is that overall there's quite a bit of confidence in the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, as an institution. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.